Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we're going to be going over the severe weather for the next few days. We're also going to be going over the flood threat, which we do have a higher risk for flash flooding as we do head into tomorrow. And then we will also, be going over the tropics at the later part of this video. So make sure to stay tuned to that if you do live in an area that could get hit by a tropical storm or hurricane. But let's go ahead and first start off with day one, okay? And as you can see, we do have a slight risk of severe storms, mainly across portions here of the plains, getting that over there towards the upper Midwest. So we do have a pretty big area that we do need to be watching for, and if we look at the tornado threat for today, we do have a 5% risk for tornadoes across northeast Colorado heading into southwest Nebraska. I do think this area could be the area to really get hit by the most tornadoes, but it doesn't really, include a whole lot of populated centers. It's really North Platte, Nebraska, that's really the populated city in Nebraska that's included in this 5% risk for tornadoes. So not a very populated area, thankfully. That's the good news for today. But if you still live in this 5% risk for tornadoes, I recommend having your tornado action plan in place just in case, because we, do have a decent chance of at least an EF1, EF2 tornado. Chances of a strong tornado are pretty low, but I do still think we will likely see, a few tornadoes in this 5% area. But even heading up there towards northern Wisconsin, I do think we could see a few tornadoes in this 2% area. So if you do live, in Valentine, back into Sioux Falls, into Minneapolis, and as well as Norfolk, Nebraska, make sure you do have your tornado action plan in place just in case also if you do live in this 2% area. But you should also, be weather aware too as well, meaning, be prepared for nearly anything that could happen. Now, let's go ahead and look at the wind threat, and as you can see, just a, regular 15% risk for damaging winds. We could see some, 60, 70 mile per hour winds across this yellow area, so if you do in the slight risk, make sure to, be watching that closely. And then hail threat, we do have a 15% risk for large hail, and this one's actually a little bit more widespread. This hail threat actually does extend into southeast Montana and northeast Wyoming, but look at this area down here, guys, where we have that 5% risk for tornadoes. We have a hatched risk for large hail, meaning that 2-inch hail or greater is possible, okay? So we will need to be watching this area down here especially. This is the area that I am very concerned about getting on the most, severe weather for today, and that's mainly because they also had that 5% risk for tornadoes. But even the other parts of the site risk could really get on a lot of that action too as well. Even down there towards, Minneapolis could really see a lot of the severe weather for today. We'll just have to be seeing how these storms do act. Let's go ahead and look at tomorrow's threat now. And as you can see, we do have another site risk of severe weather, kind of across the same areas. And it does include Minneapolis, back into Sioux Falls, Norfolk, Nebraska, back into Omaha, Lincoln, and then all the way back down towards Colby, Kansas. So we do have a pretty big area to watch for tomorrow too as well. And if we look at the tornado threat, just a regular 2% risk for tornadoes, nothing, too significant. But a lot, again, I would still be weather aware if you do live in this 2% risk, because, whenever we do see a small tornado threat, we always can't rule out a couple of brief tornadows. So make sure, to be weather aware if you live in Minneapolis, back up there towards northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. Wind threat, we do have a 15% risk for damaging winds, and hail threat, just a 15% risk for large hail. So thankfully, we don't have any hatched risk for tomorrow, which I do think one may get issued, but as of right now, there's no hatched risk for tomorrow, which is good news, because if we saw that, we would have been talking more in the way of significant severe weather. But, we're just mainly talking a 15% risk for damaging winds and large hail, and maybe even a few brief tornadoes tomorrow. So if you do live in that, slight risk of severe weather, I would still be weather aware just in case. And then day 3, no severe weather threat, which is good news, but this big area could see some thunderstorms, which is in this light green color. Let's go ahead and now look at the excessive rainfall outlook, and as you can see, they did cut off that moderate risk for flash flooding across parts of Minnesota. That isn't, super surprising, because they actually did see, that rainfall total just go down a little bit on some of the models. But, I do think Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota, heading into northern Iowa, and then even northeast Nebraska could really still get, quite a bit of rainfall. And if we look at what a slight risk means, it means scattered flash floods possible, mainly localized, most unnearable are unbanned areas, roads, and small streams and washes. Isolated significant flash floods possible. So this is something, to be weather aware about, because, we could see some significant flash floods mixed with that. So that's why I'm saying, we could see, some higher rainfall totals in this area. So if you do live in Minneapolis or anywhere else in this site risk, make sure you do have ways to receive flood alerts, such as a phone or a weather radio. All those things will work for that. And the same goes as we do head down towards Houston, back into Baton Rouge, and as well as New Orleans, Louisiana. We also do have another area over here towards the Ohio Valley. The reason why I'm showing this is because we really need the rain in this area. As you can see, we could really use some rain back over here into parts of eastern Kentucky, eastern Tennessee, back into eastern Indiana, Ohio, and even all the way over there towards New York could really, get a lot of rainfall today. So that is good news after, this heat wave around. So hopefully they do get, a few inches of rainfall in some areas, which, can't be rolled out because it is a flood threat. And if we look at tomorrow's threat, as you can see, another slight risk for flash flooding heading from northern Minnesota all the way down into the panhandle of Texas. And then we got a moderate risk for flash flooding down here towards mainly around the Houston area. And if we look at what that means numerous flash floods likely, numerous flash flood events with significant events possible. Many streams may be flood, potentially affecting larger rivers. So this is, a threat you got to take very seriously, okay? A moderate risk is what you got to take more seriously. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did add a high risk somewhere in here, and that's because as the system comes onto shore, this could, really dump over, a foot of rain and fall in some areas, which will be something to keep an eye on. Day 3, we got another moderate risk for flash flooding. I also do think this one may upgrade to a high risk as well, and I do also think this one might even have better potential of upgrading to a high risk. Day 4, we do have a slight risk down here in Texas and up here towards the upper Midwest, and then we do have a slight risk on day 5 up here towards the upper Midwest, but those remain uncertain because we are heading far out. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the total precipitation. That is from now all the way to June 27th, and as you can see, pretty good rainfall totals across parts of the upper Midwest. That's the reason why we do have several days of a slight risk for flash flooding across that area. And then down here towards the Gulf of Mexico, we are seeing some pretty high rainfall totals there, as you can see. So pretty much this entire area that I'm circling will likely get on, a ton of the action. We could be talking as much as 20 inches of rainfall in some areas, not because it's shown, but because we will have a tropical storm, moving onto the shore of Texas. And so that's the reason why I'm concerned of, more rainfall than what the European model is showing. And yeah, I mean, that's a bigger thing with the GFS. As the GFS model, let me just go ahead and select it first. As the GFS model is showing, a lot more in the way of precipitation across Texas. Look at that, very high rainfall total. Some areas, could get over a foot of rain from what's shown on the GFS model. But even over here in the Florida, look at that, GFS showing Florida getting on some pretty good action. And then the upper Midwest, looks like the upper Midwest is, getting a little bit more rain with the GFS. But I do think, we will at least see some 4 or 5 inch totals in some areas for today, which will be something to keep an eye on. So yeah, we will need to be watching Texas and Florida very closely for that. So we will need to be watching those areas. Now let's go ahead and look at where the water temperatures are right now. This is going to be part of our tropical weather update at the end of this video. And as you can see, those water temperatures are kind of going up and down, at least they have been lately. And then they're finally going down again. But look at that dot, it's kind of curving up a little bit like that. And so, we're kind of concerned about maybe they go even up again. Do you guys think this is changing to an El Nino or an La Nina? You guys let me know down in the comments below if you guys think these water temperatures will change to an El Nino or a La Nina. Meteorologists are forecasting this to change to a La Nina, which I still agree with, because we do have, a couple of months for the water temperature to change to a La Nina, because we are forecasting this to change as we do head into, July, August, and September. So we, still got a couple months still for this, water temperature to change, which, will still need to be watched. So that's why I'm saying, if you guys think this will change to an El Nino, let me know in the comments. Or if you guys think this will change to a La Nina, you guys can let me know down in the comments. But meteorologists, including me, are forecasting this to move to a La Nina as we do head into August, September, and maybe October. I don't think it will, go down to a La Nina that late, but, it is going to be something to keep an eye on. Now, here comes the big tropical update, as we do have a 70% chance of development in the next 2 days. That's the next 48 hours. Same goes the next 7 days. And as you can see, the system is already under very warm waters. And that is actually really true, by the way, because if we look at those if we look at those warm waters, I gotta go ahead and quickly select them. As you can see, some very good warm waters across that area right here, as you can see. So yeah, pretty, well above average temperatures in that area that I'm circling, and that's exactly the area that that system is in. So this system will likely, develop and turn into a tropical storm. At least that's what I expect. So we will need to be, watching this very closely. This one over here might be starting to get its act together a little bit. Look at that. That's gonna, be moving towards the Florida, Carolinas, and as well as Georgia. So we will need to be watching, the system too as well, which only has a 30% chance of developing, but we might see, a higher percent chance as we continue to get closer, and I wouldn't be surprised if this did upgrade sometime in the next few days. Let's go ahead and now look at what the GFS model is showing with the system. So yeah, it is showing it, turning into a major hurricane, because just look at that system right there. And even though it shows it, kind of turning into a tropical storm or hurricane, it's not very good agreement with the rest of the models. So, we could, that's why I'm saying I do think we will at least see a tropical storm move on to Texas. So, that's why we're really concerned about tropical development there. So, we will need to be watching the system closely before it does head on to Texas. And as you can see, it does show it, impacting places like San Antonio. Look at that. San Antonio could really get on a lot of that rainfall. And then, continuing into eastern Texas a little bit. And then this other system over here, as you can see, already getting, a lot of spin. And then it looks like this could eventually hit the Carolinas. This one looks a little bit more like a tropical depression because it's only showing, rainfall rates in this red color, and it's not the highest on the scale, so not terribly concerning as that one over there. So we will need to be watching that system closely. Showing some more tropical waves. Look at that one could really get its act together too as well and move on to Florida. That could be another tropical storm or hurricane right there, which is uncertain by this point. And then we will need to continue to be watching more waves for potential development. So yeah, so thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know this video might have been a little bit more longer than usual, but that's because we had a lot of things that we were needing to talk about. But I do hope you guys have a great day, and I will continue to keep you guys updated on the tropics now that we already got some, spins ongoing in the tropics. But I also, we'll keep you guys updated on severe weather and flash flooding and all that stuff. So if you guys want me to keep you guys updated, don't forget to click that like button down below. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel and also comment down below if you haven't already, and we will keep you guys updated with professional and accurate weather videos.